Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Otafu Susume, or Recommendations from My Otaku Spouse. I'm Wesley.
And I'm Jen.
So let's get started. Today we are here with a special episode.
Isn't every episode special?
I mean, it involves us, and we're pretty special.
Yay!
Yay!
You are special.
Thanks, dear.
I love you.
I feel like I'm being patronized here.
No. I actually do love you.
Oh, good.
Okay, yeah. So why is this special?
It's the first time we reviewed something like this.
Like what?
It's a card game.
Woo! That was not very exciting at all, was it?
It was not. It's giving me bad feelings about where this is going. But for those listening in the States and other Western countries, this is about a card game that is actually getting a pre-release this month and a major release next January, but it's been out in Japan now since earlier this year. It is the new version of the Digimon card game. Not the one from the late 90s that you may remember.
No.
Not
the one
at
that
all.
tried to compete with Pokemon and just got trounced.
I don't think the card game directly tried to compete as much as the anime did.
The card game, I mean, anything that came out at that time that tried to be anime, a card game, or Game Boy Color game was trying to compete with Pokemon.
Or wanted to be Pokemon.
Exactly.
But I think also just everything had a card game at the time.
Card games on motorcycles.
Even that, yes.
Yeah.
That didn't even start as a card game manga.
Yeah, which you discovered recently. Which I discovered recently because of you.
Which I rediscovered recently. But yes, we're getting off the subject.
Yes.
Digimon. Digital monsters.
Digimon are the champions.
Change into digital champions to save the digital world.
You nerd.
So now that we've shown our age there. Oh, I was just commenting to someone the other day how whenever I think of Digimon, that's the song that goes through my head.
That's the song, yes.
You ask anyone in Japan, and it's going to be Butterfly.
I only know that song because I listened to the song. Like, I didn't watch it with the anime because I watched the anime in English.
Yeah, and I mean, that song, is at karaoke or things like that, or you'll see it always on. If you're watching Japanese TV, they'll have best anime song lists, and that'll be on it, and it's super popular and everything. But you say the word Digimon to me, and I'm immediately back to Digimon. Digimon.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, it's going a little bit off topic, but kind of like the Pokemon theme. When you say Pokemon theme, you think, I want to be the very best.
100%.
And that was actually a thing with the recent Pikachu movie, where Pikachu sings that song.
Oh, we had an issue with that too.
And the Japanese are like, I don't get it. Like, what is this? Like,
well,
they translated the lyrics really literally
They
as
translated
well.
it literally, and you and I both walked out of the theater commenting on that, going, even if it's different, why wouldn't you just translate the lyrics to be the lyrics from the Japanese opening?
Yeah. Or even if, I mean, they might not have been able to get the licensing for that, but then you could have translated it in a way that made it funny, even if it wasn't funny in the same way.
How would they not get the licensing? You have to have dealt with the Pokemon Company, and they control all Pokemon worldwide.
No. Sometimes the artist will have the rights to their own music, so if you want to reuse it, you have to pay the artist.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Whereas Digimon just avoided the whole thing.
By completely creating a new song. Well, no, that's the thing, is that...
Not only did they create a new song, but when they released the movie in the West, they just licensed music.
Oh, so it's the same music in the West and Japan, or?
No. The Western version of the movie, took two Japanese movies and made it into one.
3 Japanese movies.
2.
3.
Was it 3?
It was 3. 3 Japanese movies, and they spliced it into one.
Oh. And then they got, just popular music, like 1 Week by the Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Digimon is a weird franchise.
Really weird.
But my childhood memories have me enjoying Digimon.
Yes.
I
think the anime was definitely better than the Pokemon anime. Those two were the big things of the time, so I can't separate them.
Digimon, Pokemon, there's a bit going on there.
They're monsters.
But it definitely was the whole big thing going on, between that and there was even smaller ones like Monster Rancher and things like that.
Oh, yeah. That was on Channel 5 in the UK. No one watched it.
Ouch. And luckily for me, at this point, the Digimon card game is sticking around the bits that I remember most.
Like the original 1997 version.
Yeah. I guess what they call Digimon Adventures and the Digimon Adventures 2.
I never got into that. I got into the Pokemon card game.
No, but I mean this card game.
This card game,
This card game, thus far, is mostly the Digimon that I know. So when they're talking about new Digimon...
like actual... Like the monsters themselves, not the card game. Okay.
Yeah, the monsters themselves.
They use all the Digimon from Season 1.
Yes. There's some ones that I see and I go, I have no idea who this is. But when they're talking about, like, you got the Dark Generals, and you got Bergamon, and Agumon, and Patomon, and all of the ones that I remember from my childhood before I checked out.
Yeah.
And I can tell you exactly when I checked out.
When did you check out?
Digimon Tamers.
Oh, that was Season 3, wasn't it?
I think so.
With the bunny rabbit that he draws, and it comes to life for some reason.
He draws the red one.
He draws the red one? I thought he had the green one.
No. It's the other guy he runs into is like the smart one of the group.
Okay.
Who is like, oh, you've got a Digimon, but you're being really stupid about it. Let me tell you how to have a Digimon and not be an idiot. And that's the one who's got Terriermon, who becomes the bunny. But he draws Guillemon, who then Digivolves into Growlmon, which is the worst name ever. And he's like, oh my god, I have an actual Digimon now. What do I do with this? I'm going to go take it to my local park and chain it up inside a shed so people don't find out I've got a dinosaur.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't remember anything apart from the rabbit, because that was the only thing I liked about it.
And then the too cool for school owner girl has the fox, Renamon.
But yeah, I don't remember any of this.
You don't remember any?
I also checked out in Season 3.
That's because it's a good place to check. For me, I hated the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And they really went overboard on the, like, Guillemon was just too stupid and naive.
Mm.
Like, not even the Babymon from the first season were that bad.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, we don't know what we are. We're little blobs of mush. But we're still more put together than Guillemon, who was this giant, annoying, childlike dinosaur.
You know what I just realized?
What?
Digimon was an isekai.
Yes, 100%.
With a bunch of kids you don't have isekai anymore with a bunch of kids being transported to another world. It's always individuals.
That's true.
Huh.
And it used to be more of a thing, because, like, even in something like El Hazard, you had two kids and their gym teacher get sucked into an alternate world. That was a fun time.
In my day.
But no, yeah.
Groups of children would be abducted to other worlds.
It was also kind of like the you got sucked into a video game, but if you die here, you die in real life.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't just their minds that were stuck in the video games, it was their body.
That's
but
true.
Wait, was it a video game or was it just a digital world?
It was a digital world, I guess, but it's kind of a video. I mean, all of the modern ones seem to be video games.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I guess it's one of those things where if you really look at it, it's just going to be confusing and not work at all on any level.
But to go back to what you were saying earlier, I do think that Digimon as a story, especially for like that first season or first adventure, did a better job at telling a story rather than like Pokemon, which just existed to sell toys.
Oh yeah.
Digimon existed to sell toys. I'm not going to be wrong there.
No.
But they actually decided to tell a story to do it and make a show that could stand on its own.
Well, Digimon came before Pokemon, but Pokemon became more famous in the West, and so people think that Digimon ripped off Pokemon.
I never thought it ripped one or the other off, but I didn't know it came first.
Mm-hmm. Digimon came first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I actually don't know which part of Digimon came first, whether it was the anime or something else.
Maybe little Tamagotchis? Because that was a major big thing, was you could get your little Digivices and raise your own Digimon on there.
Yeah, that was fun.
I never had one. I know one of the Shenanabros, up to their shenanigans, Kenny, has a whole collection of Digivices.
Wait, does he?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Aww.
He used to do a thing where he'd take him to cons and try to get con guests to pose with his Digivice.
Aww.
And then take a picture of him.
Nerd.
Very much so. That reminds me of another interesting bit that I've only discovered since actually playing this game, because as we both before mentioned, this is the first Digimon thing I've really done in Japanese.
Yes.
I have played Butterfly on DDR, and I have sung... No, wrong Butterfly.
Oh.
The Digimon one.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's on DDR. I don't know. I think I played on some rhythm. No, maybe it was Taiko no Tatsujin. I don't know. It's on some rhythm game. And I have sung it at karaoke because other people were singing it. And it was this whole crowd thing. But this card game is the first real thing I've done in Japanese with Digimon. And some of the things that to me were such staples I found were only in the West. I mean, we both already in this thing said Digivolve.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
The word Digivolve doesn't exist in Japanese.
No, it doesn't.
It's just evolve.
It's just the Japanese for evolve.
Oh yeah, Shinka, evolve. No Digivolve. So I'm now really wondering, is a Digivice a Digivice?
I need to make a correction.
Okay.
Pokemon did come first. The game came out in 1996.
Yes.
And the Digimon anime came out in 1987.
Oh, okay.
But they were a game and an anime. So the anime for Digimon came out before the anime for Pokemon.
But the game and the card game for Pokemon came out
before
first.
the anime, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Yes, so there's only evolve in Japanese.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, like, for these other things, like Digivice, is that a Japanese word, or what word is that? Or,
I don't know. It's not in the card game.
We don't have any Digivices yet in the card game.
Because we don't have any people. It's only
Digimon. You get
Digimon.
Tamers. There's Tamer cards.
Yeah, no, you're right. There are people.
All the Tamers, of course, change name, which has been massively confusing me when playing the game. Because I'm like, oh, I'm going to pay 2 memory to play Matt here. And then I pause and go, I mean, Yamato.
But weirdly enough, the main character's name sounds really Japanese because it's Tai.
Tai was Tai.
I
think they may have changed the spelling, but they did actually a really good job at taking all the Japanese names and coming up with Western names that were really close. Like Takeru became TK, Joe is Joe, Izzy is Izumi, I believe, in Japanese. So they did a really good job.
His name's Izzy Izumi.
Izzy is the Western name.
Yeah, but no, his actual name in...
No, it's not.
Oh, no, you're right. You're right. I'm just looking at a list that has them very similar. Yeah, Kairi in Japanese is Kamiya.
Wait, why would you change Kairi? Kairi is already a Japanese name. I think it's her family name.
Mm-hmm. This is like Tai Kamiya, Kairi Kamiya. Yeah, you're right. That's the family name.
Yeah, I think
Mimi
she
Tachikawa.
got through for not getting her. Mimi stayed as Mimi.
So weirdly enough, yeah, their names...
Sora was Sora.
Yeah, Sora is Sora. So they kind of kept them, but they kept their last names as Japanese names.
Yeah. The other thing that I've discovered that is an entirely Western thing that doesn't seem to exist on the cards at all. And so I'm going, wait, is this a real thing? Is this a Western thing? Has my whole childhood been a lie?
Yes.
So we sang the song when we started this episode.
Yes.
And part of the song, you've got them like, oh, Digivolve into Champion, Digivolve into Ultimate, Digivolve into, then they go into Mega and all these different forms.
Yeah.
I don't think Champion, Ultimate, or Mega are Japanese terms.
Oh.
You sit there looking through the cards and none of them talk about that. They've got like different levels for their evolution. And then if you look at like the really small text, they talk about, Digitama are your Digimon eggs or your baby Digimon or whatever. But there's no such thing as Ultimate or Mega or Champion or any of that on the Japanese version of the card.
The songs in the West did take liberties.
No, but it's in the show too. It's not just the song.
That's true.
They actually talk about digivolving into ultimate form or whatever.
I don't know, maybe it just isn't in the card game. Or maybe it doesn't exist at all.
It's
in Japan.
It's one of those things that I'm reevaluating everything I thought I knew about Digimon.
Which wasn't much to begin with anyway. But.
Which is true. So yeah, I guess as I said, I checked out around season 3, Tamers. And so then I hear people talking about things like Frontier and all this. I'm like, there's more Digimon?
And wasn't there a whole was it a reboot movies that came out, or were they sequels?
I don't know, because there is something called Digimon Adventures coming out right now.
Yes.
And it looks like the kids are older, so I think it would be a follow-up. Because they were definitely,
don't know.
Really young in the original show. And they're all wearing high school uniforms in the pictures I've been seeing for the new ones. I think they're high school uniforms. Yes. And they have to at least be somewhat older because the 2 youngest from the first group, TK and Kairi, were then the 2 oldest for the second group when season 2 started.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, we've done this whole Digi world before. And the other guy's like, yeah, but I'm wearing goggles and this is a Digimon show, so I'm the main character.
So are you saying that we need to go off and watch the new ones? Because I think they're movies. I don't think they're series.
They had the movie, like Digimon Try.
Yeah.
But I thought...
There's a series of movies.
Was it?
I think so. Actual real Digimon fans are probably listening to this and being going, oh my god, you two are so bad.
But actual Digimon fans who are listening to this are probably in the West, which means they don't have the card game yet. And we do.
Wow, you're a dick.
I know.
So should we actually talk about the card game?
Yes. I haven't played a trading card game in 20 years.
Which we realized because Wes was like, oh, I wonder what Magic the Gathering is doing now. I remember blank, blank, and blank. Oh, crap. That was 20 years ago.
And none of it exists anymore.
None of it exists anymore.
Yeah.
And then crying over the number of old Magic the Gathering cards he sold that are now worth hundreds of dollars.
I don't want to talk about it. Just, yeah, no, don't, no. My Sliver Queen, my Phyrexian Dreadnoughts, plural, no. Anyway.
You're really cute, but I don't understand what you're saying.
Fair enough. But people who play Magic listening to this will understand those words. And maybe they'll share in my pain. But no, I hadn't played, so I had played a few card games as a kid, but the two I most played were Magic the Gathering and then a bit of Pokemon. And I can't really tell you why, other than I think I actually started to get money, and then other people stopped playing, and then I realized I wanted to spend money on other things that weren't cardboard.
Mm.
And so somehow in the year 2000, I stopped buying cards for 20 years.
Aww.
Jen, on the other hand...
Oh, yeah, no, when I was younger, I didn't have any friends. No, seriously.
Way to bring it down here.
I never played trading card games with other people. Like, I never had Pokemon battles. I never had Yu-Gi-Oh battles, even though that was like the big things of the time. Even in the UK, they were huge. To the point where, they got banned at school, that kind of thing. Yeah,
definitely. Magic never got too crazy, but Pokemon, something about it set kids off, and it got all card games banned because of Pokemon.
I think because there was too many fights happening and people stealing other people's cards and da-da-da-da-da, and they're like, no, this is banned. Don't bring it to school.
I wonder what it was about Pokemon that did it, because as I said, Magic, that never happened to Magic.
Probably because Pokemon was more accessible than Magic.
True. It was a huge fad at the time.
Mm-hmm. And when it's popular, it's popular.
Yeah.
Just look at Kimetsu no Yaiba in Japan right now.
Woof.
Yeah. So yeah, those were the big things at the time, and I never played them as fighting games, except I did have the PC game where you could play against a computer. But I did collect Pokemon cards. And then sporadically got back into it once every 6 months, maybe once a year. I'd get back into collecting Pokemon cards and then stop again because I realized I spent way too much money on them.
So the only reason I bring it up
I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
We've moved a couple of times.
We have, yes.
And every time we move...
And we not just moved house, we've moved states and we've moved country.
We've moved oceans.
I have moved oceans multiple times.
Yes. And every time we move...
Yeah.
There's always one box, minimum.
It's only one box.
Minimum. It's only one box now because I took them out of the binders.
Yeah. Where did my Hello Kitty binder end up, Wes?
I don't know. Of Pokemon cards that make the journey with us.
Yes. They kind of have to come with us at this point.
They're part of the family.
They're part of the family. They're my Pokemon cards. I have a few, maybe. It's not as many as actually exist. And I don't know how many I have. And organizing them is a pain in the ass. So, but I don't have that many. I could have more.
That sounds like a threat.
Why are you looking at me like that?
It was just... It's a weird mirror image of each other. Now, I grew up in Seattle. And trading card games, specifically, not trading cards, but trading card games were born in Seattle.
What, like coffee?
Yes.
What is it with Seattle and everything being like... Okay, so trading card games were born in Seattle. Wait, was that Magic the Gathering?
Yes.
Huh.
It was the world's first, back then they called them collectible card games, and then evidently something about that name started setting people off, or I'm not entirely sure why, but now they're called trading card games. It's an interesting change, and I'm sure there's a lot of lawyers who had a say in why that name got changed. But back then they were called collectible card games. And so, but it's a weird parallel that I was there kind of for the birth of card games as a child, playing them for 5 years like mad, and then dumped them for 2 decades. And you, 5,000 miles away, didn't really play them, but you have collected them for over 2 decades.
Yes.
And now there's a new game.
Correct. That we are apparently getting into.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting. I think one, because it's like the birth of a game. So I've tried to get into Magic in the past. And it's always been like... I remember you trying to teach me how to play Magic, and there's just so many rules and different ways to play depending on the cards, and it's like blah 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 blah, and like blah, and yet, but when you were like, oh, let's get this new card game, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it for you, and then you bring it back, and it's really, really easy to learn, and it's really easy to play, and I'm like, oh, I can actually get into this because there aren't many cards and there aren't many ways to play. So I can like learn the basics really easily. It's really easy to get into.
Yeah, it's the way they did the release in Japan was they started off with the 3 starter decks, like red themed around Agumon, blue themed around Gabumon, and
yellow
themed around Patamon. So, you know, we got like Angelmon and Angelwoman and all those, and so it's directly designed to hit you in the nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
The starter decks were 500 yen a piece.
Which is what, $5?
So yeah, less than $5.
So it was super cheap.
I think in the West they're charging $10 per starter deck, but they're including like a booster pack or 2 in there.
That's actually what they used to do with Pokemon cards. Was it'd be about £10 in the UK for a starter pack.
I really like the cheap ease of access that we've got going over here in Japan, or just 500 yen, 1 coin to get a starter deck. And that's really
500 yens are in coins, guys.
Yeah, sorry. But you'll see a lot of things around Japan that talk about like a 1 coin lunch, and it means it's 500 yen because you can just 1 coin and you're done, easy. And I really like that. I do also, though, I don't know, part of me realizes that trading cards are the original loot boxes for children.
Yes.
And so encouraging them to get into gambling is, because that's what it is under a less pretty name.
No. If it was gambling, it would be banned in Japan, but it's not banned in Japan, so it's not gambling. It's fine.
Exactly. So trying to lure kids into that with the promises of shiny cards does feel a bit sketch to me. But on the
also
other hand,
shiny cards.
I like playing card games. Even if I haven't done it forever, I sit down and I play some card games like, well, this is kind of fun.
So we sat down and we played this, even though I was very skeptical, and it was fun. Like, it has a really easy... The way you introduced it to me was about Magic has all these complicated energy tapping systems.
You keep saying this. You showed up at my house one day with a Magic deck and said, hey, I picked up a deck of Magic. You used to play this, right? Do you want to play?
Okay, so...
And I went, sure.
So, that was when we started dating, and I wanted to impress you. So... I wanted to be interested in the things that you were interested in, and I wanted to impress you, and so I brought the cards.
I hadn't played Magic in over a decade at that point.
I know, but I wanted to show you how much of a nerd I wanted to appeal anyway. Can we change the subject?
I'm just saying, before anyone gets on me for saying, why would you teach her Magic? That is the worst thing you could do. How did she manage to stick around? She brought it on herself.
Because I was trying to impress you.
And you did.
Yay.
Yeah, no, Magic is like an insurmountable pile of cards right now. It is impossible to get into, I would say, for anyone, just because it is so dense and so old, and it's this broken juggernaut that's only moving because there's so many cards it has too much weight to stop. It's like one of Newton's laws of physics in motion at this point, where it's moving, and so you can't stop it because there's nothing big enough to actually stop Magic. Hasbro's trying. They are trying their damnedest
to stop it.
Yeah. But as you were saying, this was brand new. There weren't a ton of things to get into. Mm-hmm. And it was, as I said, aiming straight at that nostalgia factor.
And a really easy to understand energy system.
Yeah,
which is how you sold it to me.
Yeah.
Basically what you do is you play cards which cost energy, and as soon as you use up too much energy and your energy bar goes into your opponent's energy section, your turn's over and their turn begins. And they get to spend however much energy is in their section. So you have to try and play cards in a way that doesn't use up too much energy, so you don't give your opponent too much energy, but you really want to use a lot of energy in order to use your really impressive cards. I know, it's a really interesting system.
Yeah, it's I keep describing it like this when I talk about it, but it's very much a press your luck system. Where it's kind of like, I can spend just a little bit more to play this bigger Digimon with the hope that my opponent isn't holding something big in their hand to make use of the energy I'm about to give them.
Mm-hmm.
Memory, they call it. And it works really well because you don't have to fill your deck with a bunch of just useless cards that you either don't draw enough of at the beginning of the game or you draw too many later in the game and just screw your strategy. And it lets you just focus on why you're playing the game, which is the Digimon.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, I also think because there was a Digimon card game that came out in the late 90s that died. I don't think it ever really was huge in the West.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But that one had this whole big thing where, like in the show, certain Digimon digivolve into certain Digimon.
Mm-hmm.
And in the card game that we're playing, it's pretty open-ended.
Yeah, you can digivolve or evolve any Digimon in your hand into any other Digimon as long as it's the next level up.
And so long as the colors match.
And as long as the colors match.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be, what is it, Agumon digivolve into Greymon. It doesn't have to be like that. Is it Greymon? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that works really well to keep the game fast-paced and flowing. Because in the older one, it would be very specific. Your Agumon could only become a Greymon or things like that. You know, there was some kind of workarounds here and there, but it was very specific. So it very kind of locked you into Digimon families in a way. But there was still also the color types, and it became this whole intricated web and mess that I think is just another barrier to entry. So there's still like a lot of room for tactics and decision making. But the cards are clean and they're pretty, and the game is fun and engaging.
And really open and fluid. So, I mean, a match only can take anywhere between 10 minutes and 20 minutes. I think that's what I really like about it, is it's quick. Because sometimes we sit down and we play a game like we play Heart of Crowns. So what it's called? Heart of Crowns?
Heart of Crown.
Heart of Crown, sorry, singular. And that can take like an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's an
investment.
Game, and you have to set it all up, and it takes so much more work.
Yeah, whereas this is just, oh, hey, let's just whip this card game out and play it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's actually another thing I like about it, is that unlike what Magic has become now, or unlike what Pokemon always was, you don't need a lot of extra equipment to go with it either.
Mm-hmm.
You're not leaving damage counters all over the table. You're not flipping half a dozen coins every other turn.
Yeah, there's nothing really complicated about it.
Yeah, but despite me saying that, there is still a lot of room that you have to make decisions, which I think works well.
And a little bit of strategizing. Not too much, because I'm really weak at strategizing, because I never had that competitive exposure as a child, and which is why you always beat me at games.
That's not true.
Well, no, it's not true when the game is very simple and it doesn't involve much strategizing like this,
hey,
where I can sometimes win.
Hey, wait a minute.
But only sometimes.
But only for now.
But only for now.
We were actually just talking before we went on the air.
Which made us think about this.
Which made me think about it, in that the Digimon card game is actually at this moment facing two things that, as a translator, always frighten me whenever I'm working on projects.
Mm-hmm.
In that Digimon, as we've said, has over 20 years of history. And so, as a translator working on a card game, you're probably not the person who worked on the original translation.
Not just that, but it was during the era of changing everything, like onigiri into jelly donuts kind of era.
Well, it's like we were saying, Digivolve and Digivice and Champion, Mega, Ultimate, and all those types of things.
They don't exist in Japan.
They don't exist, but they do exist in the West. And all these Digimon got names in the West, some of which match their Japanese counterparts and some of which don't.
Most of which don't. Which is an issue.
Which is an issue, because if you have those diehard fans who've been with it, and you're trying to hit that nostalgia vein, like we were saying, you don't want to change it too much.
Well, you don't want to change it at all, because those are also licensed names. You can't have the IP if you then change their names. I mean, you can, but it would, like you said, it would be weird.
True, and it is all owned by Bandai. They're releasing it in both countries. They own everything Digimon related, so they can change whatever they want.
They can change it.
Because they're Bandai. It's theirs. But then you get to the second problem.
Which is? In
translation, as a translator, you only know more or less what anyone else knows. Like, so if I'm working on a volume of manga, or if I was working on a TV show or whatever, for the TV show, I'll know one episode ahead because I'm the one translating that episode before most people get to watch it. But I don't know what's coming after that. Mm-hmm. And so there can be situations that are kind of open-ended in the source language, in Japanese in this case, that you translate to sound good while also crossing your finger and really hoping you're not writing yourself into a box later.
Like, for example, especially if you can't see an image with what you're translating.
Yes.
One of the issues in Japanese is that there aren't any plurals.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could have a word for something and you're like, like boxes. I'm going to translate this as boxes. And then an image comes out with it that you didn't see before that only has one box. And you're like, crap, this is now a mistranslation because it doesn't show you what's on what's in the picture.
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing can also dig you into a corner. Dig you into a corner.
Digging him deep.
Yep. That's English.
But so I was commenting to Jen before we started that this is actually becoming an issue now for the Digimon card game where they change some of the Digimon names, but the names can have effects on abilities. Like one of the cards, I think it's a Koromon or an Agumon, says that if your Digivolve form has Greymon in the name, you get bonus security attacks, which is how you do damage to your opponent. Which is great, because that makes sense. You want your Agumon to Digivolve into a Greymon, into a Metal Greymon, into a War Greymon, and all that good stuff. The game doesn't force you to do the Digimon family lines, but it encourages it somewhat in these types of engagements, and so that's all great. But then they were just announcing, the next set of cards is going to have Retramon in Japanese, which in the West got its name changed to, I've forgotten, Burn Greymon or Blaze Greymon or something like that.
Which has Greymon in the name.
Which has Greymon in the name, which means that the card would affect it even though the original Japanese doesn't have Greymon in the name.
So what we have now is we have a rule in the Japanese that works differently to the English version depending on how they translate the English version.
Yeah. And some of the names, because they've shown off some of the English cards, because this is coming up for the pre-release. And I highly suggest that everyone go play it because it's amazing and it's tons of fun. And shill, go buy Digimon cards. But I know at least one of the names they have changed thus far.
What, to the original anime name or to the Japanese name?
To the Japanese name.
Oh, really?
Most of the names they were going through and they were putting in the original anime names. Things like Tailsmon became Gatomon and all those types of things. But there was Lilithmon. And in the West, Lilithmon became Laylamon. Probably
was
because...
Was she like an angelic demon type Digimon by any chance?
Maybe slightly, just a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I can see why they changed it
she's
from
a
Lilith.
Villain, yeah. And I think so they were trying to avoid any sort of
Christian connotations.
Yeah. And that one, though, they actually changed back in the official Western release to Lilithmon.
Oh, interesting.
Which, from what I've seen from the Super Weeb fans, not to disparage them too much, they're considering that a good change back.
Yeah.
But most of them are also saying Duftmon is a stupid name, and it's good that it's Leopardmon. It's just really bad that you have Leopardmon leopard form now.
That is, I'm pretty sure that whatever decisions they make for the names, or for any part of the translation, it has not been taken lightly. Especially because, as you said, Bandai own everything Digimon. And I'm pretty sure they know how diehard their fans are. So I don't think they'll be sending this out to some cheap translation company. I think they will actually be making very conscious decisions about how they translate the names and the terms for the Western release. Yes,
I agree. And having looked at some of the images of the English cards on the website, it is also interesting that they are, because we were talking about how, this was an older anime and the terms changed, and they're doing that again further than the Japanese version of the card game does. So Evolve became Digivolve again. Mm-hmm. We all knew that was going to happen. Memory is still memory, because that makes sense. But the Japanese cards are rife with the verb hakaisuru.
To destroy?
To destroy.
Which I think in English, as a card game term, we just say discard.
Usually, yeah.
So what did they do for the English?
Delete.
Delete. Oh, I like that.
I like that.
That's really nice.
The one that's, and it fits with the whole digital theme, right?
That's kind of messed up when you think about it, but yeah, that works.
Yeah. So you delete your enemy Digimon, and it lets them avoid the whole kind of death imagery that card games for children are usually trying to avoid anyway. Yeah,
but I actually think that's kind of more messed up, but maybe that's just my brain.
They're digital monsters. You can delete. Fine. We'll make this a Windows version. You can recycle them.
Yay! You can save backups. It's fine, kids.
But they've done that for a lot of them. For instance, your card states, when they're ready to go, they're active. Mm-hmm. And when you use their ability or you attack with them, you rest them. Mm-mm. Which is Japanese computer terminology. but not Western.
Is it?
So
wait. What's the term in Japanese?
Rest and active.
Oh, wait. Just resto.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rest
like...
saseru, active suru. It's all over the cards for when you're turning them sideways or essentially tapping and untapping. And in English, they've changed that now to suspend and then unsuspend, which to me sounds really janky, kind of. But I like suspend. I just think unsuspend is like, I could have spent some more time on the whiteboard with that one.
It's the opposite of suspend. It's unsuspend.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
But it is, from a translator's perspective, it is interesting to go through and look at things like that. Because I know, as I said, my first fear is when you're beholden to old translations. Mm-hmm. I hate that. I hate it so much because you'll get locked into something that just sounds really janky.
Yeah. Especially if the original was just bad or just, like you said, during the era of jelly donuts when everything was changed. Yeah.
I think nowadays you could get away with not having jelly donuts and going back to calling them...
100%. But I mean, I guess that only really applies to some series and not others. But yeah.
I guess on some part, it really makes me want to go through and check a lot of those kids' anime I used to watch and just be like, how much was changed?
Oh, a lot.
Because I knew... Well, like we mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! A couple times during this. Mm-hmm. You talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, me talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga at the beginning. There's no Shadow Realm in Yu-Gi-Oh!
What?
You know how whenever they're playing games and someone gets sent to the Shadow Realm?
Yeah?
Yeah, there's no Shadow Realm in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wait, what? In the Japanese version?
In the Japanese version.
Wait, then what? So that was added for the Western release?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what the hell? What happens in the West? Oh, did they just die?
They die.
Whoa, they just die in the Japanese version?
And or go insane, and or mind break, and or go missing, never to be seen again.
Mind break does mean go insane. That's just a stupid Japanese term. Don't ever use that in English again.
Okay, fine. But, yeah, there's no Shadow Realm.
Oh my god, so this whole time it wasn't... Wow.
Yeah, when the evil Yugi shows up and starts challenging people to interesting games and the loser goes to the Shadow Realm, he's got a body count.
So what's actually happening is they're going upstate to live on a farm.
Yes.
Oh my god. I can see why they changed that though.
100%. It's from a Western perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like there were little changes that I knew, like in the Japanese version of the TV show for Yu-Gi-Oh! They just have actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And in the Western version, they just have a picture of the monster and like an attack and defense number. And that was because of American laws that say you can't put blatant toy advertisements and call it a cartoon. So they were like, well, if we change the cards this much, is that not a toy advertisement? They went, yeah, sure, fine, no problem. So that's why they did it.
And then it sold toys.
Yeah, it's all to sell toys anyway.
Yeah.
All shows are. So I knew things like that, but there's some of these things that I just had no idea. And it makes me
no idea.
It makes me look back on some of these and go like, wait, what else was changed?
I mean, the big one I remember from when I was a kid, and I think we talked about this before during our Magical Girl conversation, was Cardcaptor Sakura. When in the original Cardcaptor Sakura, they edited out like all the gay relationships and the relationships between a student and a teacher, which was understandable because she was in elementary school. And and like they cut out an episode where a child is left alone by their parent who goes to work, which is perfectly normal in Japan, but like a big no-no in the West. Or
the Pokemon episode where they cut an entire episode because Ash gets a gun pointed at him.
Oh, when James gets boobs. They cut that one.
Yeah. Or, shoot, I don't remember if this was just urban legend or not, but I heard they cut the episode, or they cut the re-airing of the episode where Tentacruel destroys a city.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Because it was supposed to be re-aired just post 9/11.
Ooh.
And they're like, that's probably not a good idea. But in the opening of the anime, it still would constantly show Tentacruel smashing skyscrapers.
But you never saw that in the West. Or there's, of course, the One Piece. We were literally just talking about how many episodes there were in One Piece. Yeah. And how the original Western release would like Photoshop out guns and replace them with lollies and like pea shooters and that kind of thing.
And springy hammers.
Yeah.
And yet the weirdest things, we're going through all of this. Mm-hmm. And besides, like we were saying, that they took numerous Digimon movies and made it into one movie. And they replaced some of the music with either new songs and or licensed pop songs. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Digimon like Angelwoman ever getting the boobs covered.
That's because they already kind of were covered.
Oh no.
enough.
Angela Woman's just had massive honkers since she first showed up.
I guess no, I don't know. Maybe they decided it was too much to edit that. I mean, you never see any like actual exposed boob.
That's true.
And in the West, like you still had a lot of TV shows that have a lot of boobage.
Major boobage.
But I guess those weren't really aimed at kids, but there's stuff that kids see anyway.
I guess like Xena always had the boobs on display. That was similar time period.
Yeah, but never cleavage.
And Angela Woman has big cleavage.
Yeah.
And Lady Devimon. And Bastetmon.
It kind of reminds me as well of, I know we're kind of going off the subject here, but what's acceptable in the West and what's acceptable in Japan. Like, in Japan, gratuitous gore is not acceptable. I can speak. So, like, when you have video games like Resident Evil that have a lot of gore in, when you get the Japanese release, it has things removed or...
Isn't that just gore on screen,
censored?
though?
Yeah.
Because you will still see, like, giant sprays of blood. You just won't see the actual sword going through someone.
Yes. But no, actually, no, they still they tone down the blood as well.
Interesting. But digital monsters don't have blood.
No. So that's fine. And it's perfectly fine to have, like, sexually explicit stuff involving children in Japan. Or, like, a lot of potty humor. I think, like, that one show...
Nudity is okay,
Yeah.
but sexuality is not, I would say.
Well, boobs are fine.
Yes, but...
I guess sexuality is something different from, like...
Sexual behavior is different from...
Like, kids running around naked,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Again, I guess that was my Western sensibilities looking at it from my own judgmental, what are they called? Soapbox.
Soapbox?
I don't know. The point I'm trying to make is that we have very different standards between Japan and the West.
It's true.
Which makes translation interesting. But often enough, at least for you, because you're a freelance translator, you don't have to worry about that because you just translate it, and then if there's an issue on the other side, then the editors will deal with that.
I still put a lot of thought into it, though. That's
true, because you are passionate about what you do.
Because I'm a professional. I don't mean to say that other people are not. That's not my intent here at all. But it's always, I think especially from a freelance perspective, there's always this thought that it is going to get edited after you're done. Mm-hmm. So the less work you can give your editor, the more likely your work is to be preserved. Mm-hmm. And you want to see your work in the final product.
And hope that your editor isn't an asshole and just changing things for the sake of changing things.
Sure. But no, that's what I'm saying is that if you can make your editor think there's less work to be done, you're more likely to get your work into the final product.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of in the back of my mind when I'm doing it is do it right the first time, and then maybe they won't change it.
But again, if there is something major problematic, then they might change it anyway.
True. Very true.
But I don't think we've ever had that issue.
And I don't think we're going to notice it with this because we're going to keep buying the Japanese cards.
True. I guess we'll just have to hear about it from... Well, I guess I say we. I mean, you'll hear about it from people on the internet and then you'll tell me about it because I don't care that much.
Only when it's entertaining.
Only when it's funny.
They unveiled a new card today that'll come out in the next set. And instantly people were going, oh, this card's broken. Oh, there's going to be tons of power creep in this game. Why would you bother buying in?
Oh, is that Japanese people saying that?
No, Western people.
Oh, okay.
It turns out there's other people who can read Japanese. Who knew? And I looked at it. I took one look at the card. I'm like, this card's not even very good. What are people complaining about? So I'm like, no, I don't want to get in something where people complain. Just complain. No, let me have fun with my card games and relive my childhood.
Then maybe you should stop looking at forums.
No. You asked too much, Jen.
Evidently.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah?
Thanks for playing card games with me.
Card games are motorcycles.
We don't have motorcycles, but we do have bicycles.
Card games are bicycles. That doesn't have the same ring.
That's true. Maybe next time we play a children's card game. Anyway.
I think the only children's card game we're going to play is this for a while.
Hooray!
Unless you get into that weird sparkly one you keep showing me that looks like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure crossed with Digimon, Pokemon, everything.
Yeah.
What is that called again?
Duel Masters.
Duel Masters. Yeah, please don't get into that.
So they tried to release Duel Masters in the West, and it failed. So they waited a couple years, and they tried to release it under a different name in the West, and it failed. It's the biggest selling card game in Japan.
Wow, really?
It goes back and forth with Yu-Gi-Oh, but yeah.
Bloody hell.
It's so weird what catches on between the two different countries.
Yeah, please don't get into that. We'll stick with Digimon for now.
Well, this has been another episode of Otafu Susume, or Recommendations from My Otaku Spouse.
I was Jen.
I was Wesley, and you can find us online at annabroscreative.com.
Or on Twitter at AnnaBroseCreative.
We'll see you next time.